Hello, my sweet chinchillas. Finally, an update on this story about a Kentucky sheriff who went into a judge's chambers and blasted his ass. We're about to find out why.
And pulling his gun out. We don't know. Clayton Stamper, the detective from the Kentucky State Police, he's the case agent. He's like the lead investigator that's going to put together and coordinate all the pieces of this case. Here he is talking about the sheriff using the judge's phone.
The legal case surrounding the fatal incident of District Judge Kevin Mullins by former Letcher County Sheriff Sean Mickey Steins continues to unravel with new developments. Steins' attorney, Jeremy Bartley, has now spoken out, providing insight into his defense strategy following the tragic event that shocked the small community of Whitesburg, Kentucky.
It was my guess initially that the judge had something going on with this sheriff's wife. That was my initial guess. Let's see.
Bartley, speaking to News, stated that his client had no intention of hurting Judge Mullins. Instead, he characterized the incident as a crime committed in the heat of passion, arguing that Steins should face a manslaughter charge rather than slaying. This statement marks a pivotal shift in the case. Bartley explained that under Kentucky law, the heat of passion defense comes into play when someone is so emotionally overwhelmed that they act impulsively without premeditation. You're overcome by a state of mind so enraged and inflamed or disturbed as to overcome your judgment that causes you to act uncontrollably, explained Ernie Lewis, a seasoned public defender who has been practicing law in Kentucky for 31 years. This line of defense raises the question of whether there was a triggering event that pushed Steins over the edge that day.
This case has raised a lot of questions and has the rumor mill working overtime why the local sheriff would shoot the local judge. Here's the story. And what's going on the desk. If you look in the middle, you can see a phone just before the final gunshots. As the sheriff exits that room, is being turned. What happens? It looks like someone is calling at that moment. That phone seems to be the key to unlocking a lot in this case.
3 steps back than me and you at home is psychological distancing. To me,
who called at the wrongest time possible?
From our emotions, it decreases our emotional connection to the aggression. When there's a move back, you get ready for an attack. It's a pre-assault indicator. And for school systems on how to be prepared for attacks. This is in my world called evaluating. So we've got the rock, the blade of the body, and then step back. Judge, what you see here, Vinny, and you at home, is you see this like hand up. And you might be thinking, well, this is ridiculous. Seeing the body, and here's what's happening. So built-in system in our body is a primal instinct. It's a survival instinct.
She knows.
Our alertness.
If you've been injured in a car accident, don't call an attorney. Use this AI app instead. That's what I did.
Sorry.
The courtroom has been rife with speculation about what could have provoked the tragedy. Steins and Mullins, both prominent figures in the legal system of Letcher County, had known each other for years.
I don't know where Letcher County is.
Steins served as the bailiff in Mullins' courtroom before he was elected sheriff in 2018. The two even had lunch together earlier on the day of the incident, sharing a meal with others before everything took a horrific turn. The chilling details of the encounter emerged during a preliminary hearing on October 1st, when Kentucky State Police Detective Clayton Stamper took the stand. Stamper's testimony revealed a disturbing sequence of events leading up to the slaying. According to the detective, Steins had tried to contact his teenage daughter just before the incident. He attempted to call her from his own phone, but when that failed, he used Judge Mullins' phone. Shockingly, Steins' daughter's phone number was already stored in Mullins' device. This revelation led to a flurry of questions, with some wondering whether what Steins saw on Mullins' phone may have played a role in the tragic outcome.
Yeah, damn,
when
Skippy.
asked directly if the shooting was triggered by something Steins discovered on Mullins' phone, Stamper replied, "It could be, but I don't know that for a fact." This vague response only added fuel to the fire of speculation surrounding the possible motives behind the fatal confrontation. The tension between the two men, simmering beneath the surface for years, had finally exploded into crime.
There have been stories, there have been rumors, there's been a lot, there have been descriptions of this video before the video even came out. It's one huge question that has not been answered yet. Why was he killed? Hunted from 3 different places as the judge was hiding for cover in all of this. Shot multiple times. He's about to exit. at the chambers and sees the judge is still crawling.
The better question is, why is this old man contacting anybody's except his own underage daughter? I feel like I would have double tapped him too if it was one of my daughters. No. See, watch your friends, because they're the ones you,
Falling, so he goes back to fire his gun again. Is the answer to that question connected to his phone? And when I say his phone, I mean the judge's phone.
The incident itself was captured on video footage that prosecutors presented during the hearing. While the video lacked audio, the visuals painted a stark picture of the crime. According to reports from NPR and other outlets, the clip showed Judge Mullins sitting at his desk in his chambers when Steins entered and fired multiple shots. After Mullins collapsed to the floor, Steins continued to fire. The footage, though brief, was enough to send shockwaves through the courtroom,
Good for
many
you.
struggling to
Good for
comprehend
you,
how
Sheriff.
such a close working relationship could end in such a horrific manner. While the prosecution has been building a case for first-degree slaying, arguing that Steins' actions were deliberate, Bartley has been pushing back, claiming that his client acted in a state of...
If the judge was hiding an inappropriate relationship with this man's daughter, who was really calculating and deliberate first? That's right, the judge. To hell with that. We need to protect our kids at all costs.
state of extreme emotional disturbance.
The phone you're looking at right here that was on the judge's desk. The sheriff himself could answer that question, I think, but he's not going to tell prosecutors. I don't think he's going to tell prosecutors. The sheriff is calling his daughter from that phone and calls his daughter from the judge's phone. Calls from his own phone, gets the judge's phone, and then it's after that that the phone is put on the desk. He draws his weapon and he hunts down and kills the judge inside the chambers. Now,
Good for him.
we have not seen the video preceding the confrontation. Perhaps didn't want the public to see it. I'm not sure, but it exists. And it's a big part of the story. It exists. Prosecutors didn't want to show it in court, didn't want the defense to ask questions about it.
The argument rests
I
on
wanna
whether
see it.
Stein's state of mind at the time of the tragedy could mitigate the charges from slaying to manslaughter. According to Kentucky law, manslaughter under extreme emotional disturbance occurs when someone is overwhelmed by a powerful emotional reaction that temporarily impairs their judgment. Bartley believes that this is the more appropriate charge given the circumstances. The defense is also expected to present evidence to the grand jury that may shed further light on what happened that fateful day.
I bet the sheriff, because they were friends, knew what a friggin' perv this judge was. And just the thought of him with his beautiful little angel. He had it coming. He had it coming. He only has himself to blame. If you'd have been there, if you'd have seen it, I bet you would have done the same. Me too.
However, it remains to be seen whether the prosecution will allow the defense to present its case in front of the grand jury. As it stands, the grand jury will ultimately decide whether Steins should be charged with slaying or manslaughter.
Portion that we saw, it does not stand alone. See the entire video and the other evidence that can put that into context. There has to be an understanding of the full story. Extreme emotional disturbance, as you know, is a partial defense, right? We intend to pair that with another defense in the phone. I was referencing a recent call. I didn't specifically ask if it was a contact, but again, we await to see the evidence and the state's investigation and the completion of our independent investigation. I'm not going to announce today what we believe that defense will be, although everyone wants to know.
One of the more perplexing aspects of the case is the nature of the relationship between Steins and Mullins. Steins, as previously mentioned, served as the bailiff in Mullins' courtroom for years before his election as sheriff, suggesting a long-standing professional relationship. What exactly caused this relationship to break down so catastrophically remains unclear, though some of Stamper's testimony may provide clues. During the preliminary hearing, Stamper shared that shortly before the slaying, Judge Mullins allegedly made a comment to Steins, asking, "Do we need to meet private in my chambers?" This statement has led to questions about whether there was an ongoing dispute between the two men, possibly related to Steins' daughter or other personal matters. Stamper's testimony also revealed that Steins made several cryptic statements in the aftermath of the incident, telling officers that they're trying to kidnap my wife and child. This bizarre claim, though unverified, hints at the possibility that Steins believed he was acting to protect his family, further complicating the case.
And we know when Steins is arrested, he apparently reportedly says they're trying to kidnap my wife and daughter. The phone calls happen. And like you said, clearly something going on with Steins and his family, and he thinks the judge is involved.
Going through some mental breakdown, but we don't have evidence of that, but I think that's still on the table. Plot to kidnap his family, and he thinks the judge is somehow leading all of it.
Despite these revelations, Steins has remained largely silent about his motives. Detective Stamper testified that while Steins cooperated with law enforcement, he did not offer any clear explanation for why the tragedy occurred. According to Stamper, Steins was calm during their interactions, only asking that he be treated fair. This request for fairness, coupled with his silence on the matter of motive, has left many wondering whether more details about the incident will emerge in the coming weeks.
I bet they will.
In addition to the legal questions surrounding the case, the community of Letcher County has been grappling with the emotional aftermath of the tragedy. Judge Kevin Mullins was a respected figure in the local legal system, overseeing a wide range of cases as part of the 47th District Judicial District.
The chambers area, that's the same chambers in which this occurred, is that correct?
I'm not familiar with the details of that.
Did you personally observe Sheriff Steins following this video?
He was in custody when I arrived at the courthouse that afternoon. Basically, all he said was, "Treat me fair." That's basically the comments he made. When he was taken into custody, I was told by one of the other officers, he made the comment, "They're trying to kidnap my wife and kid."
His demise has left a void in the community, with many mourning the loss of a man who was seen as fair and even-handed in his rulings. For Steins, the fallout has been equally devastating. Once a well-regarded sheriff, Steins has now become the subject of widespread condemnation. He resigned from his position earlier this week, effectively ending his career in law enforcement. The resignation marked a sad conclusion to a career that had once seemed so promising. As the case moves forward, all eyes will be on the grand jury as they weigh the evidence and decide whether to indict Steins for slaying or manslaughter. The outcome of the case will undoubtedly have far-reaching implications, both for Steins and for the broader community of Whitesburg.
The lawyer representing former Eastern Kentucky Sheriff Mickey Steins says that his client does in fact have an explanation. Those two men had lunch together just hours before the killing, along with a couple of other people as well. The sheriff tried to call his 17-year-old daughter first on his own cell phone, but then he tried to do it on the judge's phone. And that Mullins, the judge, asked the sheriff something like, "Do we need to meet in private in my chambers?" The sheriff's daughter, 17 years old, her phone number was also allegedly stored on the judge's phone. Oh, there's that.
In the meantime, the defense and prosecution continue to prepare for what promises to be a complex and emotionally charged trial. Bartley remains steadfast in his belief that his client acted in the heat of passion, while the prosecution contends that the slaying was premeditated. With so many unanswered questions still lingering, the trial is likely to draw significant attention, both locally and nationally. For now, one thing is certain. The tragic events of September 19 have forever changed the lives of those involved, leaving a trail of heartbreak, confusion, and unanswered questions in their wake. As the legal battle plays out in court, the community of Whitesburg will be watching closely, hoping for justice and closure in a case that has shaken them to their core. That's all for this video, folks. We'll see you next time.
I'll tell you what, if I was on the grand jury and evidence came out that this creepy old man was having some kind of inappropriate relationship with his 17-year-old daughter, I'd be like, let's have the man rewarded for taking out the trash. Thank you. We need to start an investigation on what else the judge has done dirty. Anyway, that's all for now. I'm about to go eat. Yesterday was my anniversary, so I'm going to go have dinner with my love. So, you guys have a good rest of your day. Take care, and I will see you soon. Bye.